time for Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation. Whether you're a new cigar enthusiast or a cigar aficionado, we have something for everyone, bringing you the best interviews, cigar reviews, and weekly giveaways. So grab yourself a cigar.
It's time to light 'em up.
Welcome back to Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We've got co-host Bryant Falconer in the studio. How you doing today, Bryant?
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
All right, man, well, let's jump right in. What are you smoking tonight?
Today, I'm smoking a Trinidad Espiritu Series 1.
And I've never had one of those, but I'm going to just go ahead and say this, and I'm not real, big on giving you compliments or praise, but that's a good-looking stick.
It is, man. It's a good tasting stick,
man,
too,
the
man.
burn on that looks like a stack of dimes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful wrapper. I love the band.
Yes.
Even though it has two.
Yeah.
I'd like to see just one.
That second one is a little gaudy, but
yeah. I mean, it's not necessary.
yeah. It's a good stick,
That's my push for 2020. Let's get rid of all the extras. You know what I mean? Give me a cigar with one band. As long as the cigar's good, I don't need all that other crap.
That's the truth. That's the truth, because it'll take my attention away.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the LFD Cabinet 6. Back in the day when that was a just masterpiece, it had no band.
None.
And it didn't need a band.
No, it didn't.
So, I'm just saying, 2020, cigar companies, listen up. Let's get back to the basics of just one band. Take us back. All right, so I'm smoking a gift cigar. This was from Junior down at the Leaf earlier, and he gave me a Rocky Patel Edge de Maduro.
Oh.
Good smoke.
Oh, yeah.
And, I forget about these from time to time, and I normally don't buy them, but, it's only like a $6.50, $6.95 stick.
Yes, sir.
And it is also, it's pretty bold.
Oh, most definitely.
A lot of pepper, a lot of spice, and so
a great taste all the way through.
Yeah, it's a good smoke, and I'm impressed with it. So, Junior, thank you for the cigar. I enjoyed it.
Somebody likes you.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. Anyway, and also we were at the Leaf earlier.
Yeah,
good crowd tonight.
Oh man,
good crowd, and talk about diverse, dude. All right, let me explain the setting.
Yeah, you have to.
We've got Doug, who is he's a retired doctor, psychiatrist. Then we have Ed, who is a doctor. He is a professor at a university. Then we've got a younger guy who is a pastor,
youth pastor.
What's his name?
Matthew.
And then his wife was in the
Most
shop
definitely.
tonight.
Nice to meet her.
Yeah, real nice to meet her. And then Junior was there.
Yeah.
And then we had Roy come in.
Most definitely.
Which I don't know what Roy used to do.
Me neither, but I like those bow ties.
Hey, how about that hat he was wearing tonight?
Yeah.
It was like an elf pimp hat.
It was an elf pimp hat.
I mean, it was like Christmas red with a little bitty white fluff thing all the way around it. Sir. And then, did he have a feather in it?
It was a feather and a green feather.
Yeah. It was like if there was a pimp at North Pole,
it would have been him.
Yeah. And then Dr. Bill came in.
Definitely Dr. Bill.
Does anyone have more, what would you say, GQ qualities than Dr. Bill?
And the room lightens up when he walks in. Oh, yeah. Man. No matter what.
Just a nice guy. I think he's like 84. Anyway, we got a great group of guys tonight. We turned on the football game, watched a little football. Oh, and then don't forget Dave showed up.
Yes, sir.
Dave is also one of those guys that puts a smile on my face just because he's so funny.
And then all of you all with your great socks.
Yeah, everybody had on cigar and bourbon socks.
And Junior had on his
gangster socks. Yeah, that was funny. So anyway, thanks Junior for the cigar, and let's talk about what's coming up. We got Scott Pearce from the PCA coming on. He's a great interview with that guy. He'll tell us what's going on with the PCA, what they're doing to fight for our rights. And then we also have a special edition of Hiram and Solomon. David joins us from Hiram and Solomon.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And then we have Storm from Cigars for Warriors. And they have a special announcement to make, and we are honored that they decided to have that announcement on Cigar Talk.
Tell the truth, man. I mean, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is big news, and they're not releasing it anywhere else except for Cigar Talk. And so we just appreciate that they came to us with that information.
Most definitely.
So anyway, let's get to our weekly pick six.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, I'm going to go first. First of all, I tried a new stick this week that I haven't had before.
What?
I've seen it on social media quite a bit, so it piqued my interest. And it is actually an Alec Bradley, the Gatekeeper.
Yes.
So you smoked one?
Yes, I have.
Well, this was my first one, and I've seen, when people hype up cigars, I go in kind of like, okay, what are we really going to get? You know what I mean? And I got to say, this was a really good smoke.
Okay.
It was peppery, sweet, almost like a soy sauce.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know if I would go as far as that, but it was kind of like that. It reminded me almost of having a sweet and spicy piece of beef jerky.
Okay.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I could see that because I got that pepper and sweet taste to it also, and I really loved it. That last third, it just really from the second to the last third, it kind of mellowed out a little bit.
Yeah, it mellowed out and got more earthy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little leathery on the tail end. But it was definitely a good smoke, and it's definitely a medium plus for me. I didn't think it was too overpowering, but I thought the complexity of the profile was spot on. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. And then for my next stick, let's see, what did I have? Oh, the Illusion Rothschild.
Oldie but goodie.
Yeah. You know what? I've been smoking those. Wow, way back. Yeah. And I bought one, I remember. It was probably about 2015 back in the Woodlands.
Okay.
And I smoked one of those, and I was just like, wow, that little, I mean, and it's like a 4x46.
Yes, sir.
And so I wasn't expecting much, but man, it's a solid stick.
Bruh, it'll hit you. It'll make you understand who it is.
Right. So anyway, I enjoyed that stick this week. And then to follow up all those, I had the McAuliffe Reserva.
Oh.
Dude.
Where'd you get that from?
That was a gift from Scott out in East Texas. Great guy. He came by, I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And he gave me that stick, and I've been holding on to it, and I finally got the opportunity to sit back and enjoy it this week.
Hey.
And, dude, you've had the Reserva.
Yes, sir.
Dude, that is a quality stick.
Quality. You talking about premium? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's one of those in that McAuliffe from 4 to 42 that you look back and you're like, whoa, bro, this should be a little bit more.
And it's at the top of the 42.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely one of those cigars where I'm like, you know what? If you're going to spend that kind of money, it's one of the ones that I say is worth it.
It has to be worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because otherwise, I spend that kind of money. If it's not worth it, you're going to hear some complaining.
A whole lot.
You're right. Because I'm a cheap bastard.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, let's talk about what you've been smoking this week.
My 3 this week. The first one was a Hiram Solomon and an Apprentice. I had to go back to the oldie but goodie, man. I need some stability in my week. You're just kind of in a rough mood, and I said I need something to just mellow me back out. And this is a great stick for me. I love everything in the Hiram and Solomon line, but this one, man, one in the Shriner.
Yeah, well, dude, and it's funny that you say that because I picked up a Shriner today to put in my humidor so that I can have some coffee first thing in the morning with the Shriner. You know what I mean?
Smart man.
You know what I did?
What's that?
This morning, I woke up, got ready for work. I was out of coffee.
How? That's like a chicken shop being out of chicken.
I know, right?
How
Dude,
does that happen?
And you know what? It made my morning just
I understand.
I mean, it was rough.
I understand.
So anyway, I got my coffee today and a Shriner.
Smart man.
That's going to start my day off right.
Smart man.
Anyway, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is a Camacho Corojo.
Oh, that's in the orange band.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good smoke.
Good smoke, man. Great chill smoke. Sit back, cup of coffee. Just, I'm in this mellow out mood right now. I need to stay kind of calm and be able to recollect my thoughts. So that's where my mindset was actually this week.
I got you.
And it can, I guess it shows in the sticks that I chose for my top 3.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny is, over probably the course of the last 2 months, maybe 3 months, I've kind of gotten into the Camacho line quite a bit.
They got some good sticks.
They do have some good sticks. I've been impressed by them.
What's that Watch My 6 that you gave me that time?
Oh, yeah. And the Power Band was a really good stick.
Yes.
So what do you got for number 3?
Deadwood by Drew Estates, man.
You know, what's funny is when you say that, you know what it makes me think of?
What?
Backwoods. Is that isn't
not.
that your first cigar?
It's definitely not a backwoods.
Someone was asking me actually earlier today, they're like, have you ever done a review on a backwoods?
No.
And I was like, no.
Nah.
We've talked about
Yeah.
it, but that's why we're not ever going to do a review on one.
Yeah, that was my throwaway stick when I was on the railroad. You know, I didn't care if it got broke or not.
Right? You're just chewing on it. So anyway,
that was my 3 this week, man.
So what do you got coming up for the holidays, brother?
Man, I'm just trying to spend some time with my family, man. I plan on going home back to St. Louis. I want to catch up with Cigar Pulpit and try to do that interview, and maybe have you call in. But the way things are going right now, I may not make it home, but I just want to spend it with my family, man, especially with my kids that are here. Because, my daughter's in Kuwait, so it's just, my family's, especially my children, been on my mind, man. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Good, man. Well, I'm taking a whole week of vacation that week, so
What?
I'm excited. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. But we're going to go up to my mother-in-law's. It'll be me, my wife, and my son. And I don't know how long my son can stay because he's got his job.
Okay.
But we're going to be there. Now, we will dearly miss my daughter.
Yeah.
And, what's funny is I actually had a dream a couple of nights ago that she was there for Christmas.
That surprise.
Yeah. And anyway, I sent her a message and told her that, and she was like, well, that's sad. And I was like, no, it really wasn't sad in my dream. So anyway, that's enough sappiness for me for one episode. Anyway, we've got David from Hiram and Solomon and Storm from Cigars for Warriors coming up next, so we'll be right back after the break. Hey guys, thanks for hanging through the break. We have a couple of special guests with us. We have David with Hiram and Solomon and Storm with Cigars for Warriors, and they have a unique, exciting announcement to make, and they're actually working on a project together, and I'm going to let them tell us a little bit more about it. So David, how did this evolve, and how is it going to work?
Oh, thank you, Rob. Thank you for having us on the show today.
Absolutely.
So, Hiram and Solomon Cigars, in collaboration with Cigars for Warriors, we would like to present to our audience today Operation Donation. Storm and I, Hiram and Solomon, being big supporters of charity, especially our troops, we approached Cigars for Warriors about doing a special collaboration where we would introduce special below wholesale pricing direct to the consumer, which will allow them to take advantage of the special pricing to purchase boxes, any amount of boxes, that will be sent directly over to Cigars for Warriors, where they will sort, inspect, ship, package, and ship the cigars to our troops that are deployed in combat situations.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So are you going to have like a special website that's just for that? How's that going to work?
Sure. Well, we're absolutely going to publicize this through social media, through Instagram, Facebook, those channels. But on our website, which is www.hiramandSolomoncigars.com, you will have a link where you can go over and you can find more information about this collaboration, and you will be given the opportunity there where you will be able to actually purchase the cigars, which will go directly to us at Hiram and Solomon Cigars, and we will be shipping those cigars directly to Cigars for Warriors.
So basically, any cigar enthusiast that wants to support the troops can go to the Hiram website and click on the Operation Donate, and it'll send whatever they purchase straight over to Cigars for Warriors. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, and we're not limiting the amount of boxes or the line that we're going to be offering. We're gonna open this up completely, and the way we see it is that this is a way to get premium cigars at a well below premium pricing over to our troops who really enjoy this and need this kind of type of enjoyment in the situations that they're in today.
Well, let me just say much respect for what you guys are doing. We're huge supporters of Cigars for Warriors. We promote them every week because I believe that they're one of the best. If you want to support the military forces, I believe they are the best charity out there. So let's talk to Storm for a minute. How you doing today, Storm?
Good, brother. How about you?
We're doing real good. So I'm guessing you guys are real excited about this opportunity to work with Hiram and Solomon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great deal. We've worked a few other deals with a couple other companies that are semi-similar, but never to one to this extreme. And when I say extreme, Hiram and Solomon is literally going to lose money off this deal because of the love for the troops. So when I say unique, that's a good deal. With FDA, me and David worked trying to figure out a way that we can still support the troops with the manufacturers with all the issues that we had in 2016. And David came up with this idea, and I thought it was brilliant. We've always been a firm believer we want our partners to make money, but David said, this is not why me and owners want to do this. We want to support our troops. And so this is a way for the regular guy, blue-collar guy who wants to support our troops, buy cigars, buy a really high-end quality cigar for, dirt cheap and be able to get it to our troops, knowing that 100% of the cigars are going to be delivered to Cigars for Warriors, taken care of. That's a good thing for us as well because, we take every cigar, we inspect every one of them. Sometimes they're damaged and we never send those. Sometimes they may be a little bit too wet. We get mold on them, so we never send those. So knowing, to me, it's even more special having a manufacturer who's going to be taking care of these cigars and getting them to us is a big deal to us as well. It's the simple things like that make a huge difference. And this company has been a big supporter of ours since the beginning when our first relationship started meeting. Eddie and me have worked, different projects, but this one is our first big public one, and I'm pretty excited about it. So, David, again, thank you for this opportunity for supporting our military.
This is all our pleasure. This is the least we could do.
Well, and I tell you what's awesome is you guys are bringing this to the forefront right here at the time of Christmas. So I'm hoping that we have a lot of people that want to contribute, being that it's the holidays. And I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to do this all year long, but it's the holidays right now. People are in the giving mood, and I think this is a great way that everybody, like you said, whether you're the blue collar, you're the lawyer, or you're just a guy that wants to contribute to the military, man, this is a way that opens it up so that anyone can contribute and take care of the soldiers that take care of us.
Yeah, and that's another great point. In Christmas, we always try to give more. We have a certain, based on our product count, we have a certain amount of cigars we give to every single soldier who requests them. That's a big important factor a lot of people don't realize is that they have to, the men and women have to request the cigars. But at Christmas, we try to double it up almost. And we try to get, we get cutters and lighters from Zycar. The regular guy will donate cutters and lighters. So a lot of companies have their swag items and they'll donate those. So at Christmas, we really, and I say Christmas, I mean pretty much most of December and half of January, we really try to boost these boxes and pack them because those are some of the hardest days to be gone from home. Whether you have a big family or not, being away from home during the holidays is a huge deal. So we want to make it and ease that transition as best as humanly possible. And, when we have men and women come back and they volunteer for it, saying basically that because of a simple care package, it gave us the ability to sit around and talk and visit. That one simple thing to leave, made us all equal, gave us a reason to visit, gave us a reason to unload a lot of burden, and it made the holidays easier to move along during bad days, during an ambush. Better, even those days where there's absolutely nothing going on, boredom is a huge stressor as well. People don't ever realize that as well. There's only so much you can look at sand or rocks that it gives you a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a pretty neat deal. Like I said, you said it right on spot. This is Christmas time. If you ever thought about you wanted to support our Cigars for Warriors and our military that are deployed? That's the other thing. A lot of people think we have a lot of our troops are all home. That's not remotely true. We have tons and tons of troops, probably 35,000 that are still out deployed. And that does include countries like North Korea. I'm talking about countries like Africa and the Middle East, Qatar, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc.
A long ways from home.
Right. It's not like they can go down to the local convenience store or to a nice cigar shop and buy a cigar either. So this means a lot to them.
Well, David, you guys are I just want to say thank you, man, because this is a huge gesture. You guys are going to be offering cigars at below distributor prices. And so, I mean, we could really see a big push to really maximize this, especially during the holiday. So if you guys, you know what, I'll put a link on this episode to the Hiram and Solomon page that you can go to and buy cigars that'll go directly to Cigars for Warriors so that we can try to help them make a big difference right here in the holidays as well.
Absolutely. And we don't want to discourage people from walking into their local retailers and purchasing cigars and donating them to Cigars for Warriors. But one thing I do want to bring up that didn't even occur to me till Storm and I were talking a little earlier this evening. Hiram and Solomon Cigars being the association we have with Freemasonry, which is the largest benefactor for charity in the world, we are often solicited behind the scenes by people that are claiming at least to be troops, and we do what is our nature to go ahead and send them cigars on that. Storm brought up a very good point to me earlier, and I want other people, other companies that perhaps will think about this. A lot of these people that are requesting donations directly to the companies like Hiram and Solomon Cigar, we don't really know if they are military. We don't know if they're contractors. We don't know what the situation is. And it's not that we want to discourage them from receiving or having cigars, but at least we know with Cigars for Warriors, they are going to troops. They're going to troops in need. They're going to troops that are deployed in combat zones. That this is the real deal here. This is, if you want to be safe, you want to know where your money is going, you want to know who you're donating to, this is the way to go.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I think what you're doing is leading the way. I hope other cigar companies will take note and start offering a similar type thing, because I really think that that's the way it should be done. And I'm just, I'm super impressed, and just hats off to you guys over there, both of you, doing a bang-up job for the cigar industry and the community.
And we are also very excited because we got a ton of our volunteers that are also Freemasons. So this is another thing it's always a good thing, is that we're melding two phenomenal charities together and for a great cause. And I know my volunteers, all our Freemasons, are very excited. And I've always been a great believer in the Freemasons. My father and my uncle were both Freemasons, and so this is even more special to me. We've had some Blue Lodges that have donated to us in the past, so we're very excited about making our association even deeper with this project. And I see a lot of many things with our association with Hiram Solomon. At very minimum, they've been really good to us since day one. So I'm very proud to be associated with these guys. They're very class act. They never steered me wrong. It's really nice when you're dealing with people knowing that when a man gives his word, that they keep it. So it's been very refreshing to work with these men.
Yeah, and I echo that. I agree 100%. And so what I want to do, though, is I know David told me just not too long ago that he's planning on being in Texas sometime after the first of the year. He's planning on being down here quite a bit. Storm, you're in Lubbock. Maybe we could all three get together and do a special episode on the progress of what you guys are starting here today.
That would be great.
I think it's a great idea.
All right. Well,
I will say, Hiram and Solomon loves Texas. We love being there. You're a great state. I actually posted on Insta today how we'll be down there more, solidifying our relationship to all our Texas realtor partners, retail partners. It's just a great state. We love coming there.
Well, David, when you come down here, me and Storm will take you cowboy boot shopping.
I love it.
Well, hey, guys, we want to say also that we are honored that you guys decided to make this announcement on Cigar Talk. We'll definitely promote it all that we can, because we are a huge believer in both of your companies, the charity and the company itself. So we just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to announce this. And if there's anything that we can do, you can always reach out. We'll be happy to help you any way that we can.
Well, it's an honor to do it on Cigar Talk. Y'all guys have been behind us since you first came on air, and it's y'all really promote us very well. And as you said earlier, you're leading the way of how to do it, and I'm very proud of the way you do it. Again, you do it as a very class act, and appreciate it a lot. Broke a lot of precedents, and now we have many other podcasts and other types of shows that do the same thing by following your example. So thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure.
Thank you as well, Rob.
Thank you. And, I always say that we're always here to help anybody who's in the podcast community or in the blog community. We're here to help anybody who needs a hand up. We're not just trying to be, number one. We want to be just a good part of the community that adds value. So if anybody out there needs help from all three of us, we're always available to help you guys. Anyway, that being said, we want to say thank you to our special guest, David. Thank you so much. And Storm, thank you so much. And like I said, if you guys need anything at all, reach out. We're here for you anytime.
Thanks, Rob.
I hope you guys are as excited about that partnership as I am. I just say hats off to Hiram and Solomon and joining up with Cigars for Warriors. That is a great deal. So now if you want to support the troops through Cigars for Warriors, you can go to their website and buy a box discounted below wholesale price and send it straight to Cigars for Warriors.
100%, man. Taking care of those that take care of us, man.
Yeah, man. So thank both of those guys for coming on and announcing that here on Cigar Talk. Let's talk about our sponsors right quick. We got McAuliffe Cigars.
4 to 42, baby.
4 to 42, and they have a profile for everyone. And so, I've smoked a lot of different McAuliffes over the last 2 weeks, because I was stuck on the Medallia, which I did smoke a Medallia earlier today.
I truly believe that.
Man, you know what? I was like, I got to go out of town for a bit, so I'm going to smoke one this morning. And I even sent Dan a picture of it. I was like, this is how you start your day. So anyway, we want to say thank you to McAuliffe. They're our sponsors, and they take very good care of us.
Yes.
And so we want to give the love back because these guys are a class act from top to bottom. And, I mean, that's where it all starts, at the head.
Because if you don't have the right type of leadership, it's going to fail. And they take care of what is most important to them, and that's their consumers, man. They look out for us. They look at us. They talk to us. You become an ambassador. You add it to the Facebook page. They talk to you, man. They want to know what you have to say, and not just, platonically, just out there, just the words out there. Dan is invested in it.
They're engaging.
Yes, he is invested in it.
Yeah, really is. And so we're just so thankful to have them as our sponsor. If you guys want to be an ambassador with McAuliffe, go by our website and look underneath this episode, and you'll see a link that just says Become a McAuliffe Ambassador. That's all you got to do.
Yes.
They'll send you a coin with your own number. They send you a handwritten certificate. It's so easy.
Yes, it is.
And you talk about becoming an ambassador for a company who really cares about the consumers, and they really take care of their ambassadors.
Most
so
definitely
go by and sign up for them. And then also we want to give a shout out to our Patreons.
Oh, most definitely.
Man, we are so thankful for these guys. And we've started doing an after show, so those guys get a little bonus content. It's usually about 30 to 45 minutes, and it's me and Bryant. After the show, we kick back and smoke another cigar, have some bourbon or whatever we want to drink, and then anyway, so that's just extra content for them. We want to say thank you for being a Patreon to all you guys. So anyway, we got Scott Pearce coming up next from PCA, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Hey guys, thanks for hanging through the break. We have a special guest with us today, Scott Pearce, the Executive Director of the Premium Cigar Association. Scott, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. How are you doing today?
Doing great, and thank you so much for having me on. It's my pleasure.
Oh, man, we've been looking forward to having you on, especially with all the stuff going on with the political landscape and what's affecting the cigar industry as a whole. So let's kind of go back a little bit. How long have you been with the PCA?
I'm going to be coming up on just about 2 years here in just a couple months.
Okay. What were you doing before you got involved with PCA?
Sure. So I have been in trade associations and in nonprofits for the majority of my career for about 20 years. And before this, I was the head of marketing for the American College of Radiology, which is a very, very large national radiology group and big medical society. But before that, I was executive director of a DC Road Builders Association and in transportation as well for a number of years. And then found my way here to the Premium Cigar Association, or at the time as it was known as the International Premium Cigar and Pipe Retailers Association.
Right. Okay. Well, awesome. So you've been there for a couple of years. You kind of got your feet on the ground, and we've got a plan in place. So with all the political things that are going on that affect the cigar industry, what are you guys focusing on right now? I mean, I don't know if that's a good term, focusing on, because there's so many things across the board, but give us some of the strategies that you guys have right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I'll just liken this real quick and just use somewhat of a football metaphor. But, as Coach used to always say, keep your head on a swivel. And that's essentially what we have to do when we're fighting for the cigar industry. Is we got to keep our head on a swivel because we kind of get it from all angles. There's the anti-groups that are out there and the health groups that are out there. And then there's the political groups and then some of the other industry components that come along that aren't necessarily for or against this. They just happen to enter our space, a la the vaping industry. So right now, our main focus is really on being both defensive and going on the offensive as well. Again, using sports metaphor, you never score any points really, or you don't score as many points, I guess I should say, unless you go on the offensive. And so for us, we always have to be defensive because everyone's always coming up with new taxes or new regulations, new smoking bans, etc. And given the sort of hysterics about vaping, they're kind of lumping all tobacco into one group. And so we are all constantly on the defensive as far as that's concerned. There's a bill that just kind of came out of subcommittee that a lot of people are up in arms about, that Pallone wrote and sponsored, that really lumps all tobacco together, but its primary focus is all on vaping. And so we're working very hard, kind of behind the scenes in a lot of ways, but with a lot of we'll call them friends of the industry that are on Capitol Hill to kind of ease that and remove premium cigars from what they're really focused on there. And so when we look at our strategies are kind of three-pronged in a way. Number one, we focus on what we can do in the halls of the Capitol, and that's the Senate and the House side. And so we've got two bills there. One is called HR 1854 on the House side, which is an exemption for premium cigars. And on the Senate side, there's a really similar bill that's called S9, and it's exempting premium cigars from the current tobacco legislation under the Tobacco Control Act, which lumps everything in together and treats premium cigars like cigarettes or other addictive nicotine delivery systems. So that's one prong of our approach. The other prong is administrative, trying to use the administrative offices of things like the Office of Management and Budget, Health and Human Services, the FDA, the Small Business Administration, a number of others as well. And that's kind of, inside the Beltway speak.
Sure.
But really going after those agencies that have a lot to do with both the writing of regulations and the implementation and the oversight of those regulations. And then the last part of it is there are 40,000 municipalities in this country. And those municipalities write a lot of the regulations and tax codes and things like that end up kind of percolating up and getting national recognition. A prime example of that is the recent Tobacco 21 legislation. That was very much a national coalition. It was all coordinated. It was a strategy that was done. And you saw Tobacco 21 laws pop up all over all the different states until it started to rise to the fervor of where there was suddenly federal language that they wanted to raise a federal age to 21. So we really focused on those municipalities because we represent retailers primarily. And we've got retail stores in every single congressional district in the country. And so for us, we tend to focus on what are some of these laws that we can pass or fight against on the state level. So we fight for things like tax caps at the state level, something as recently like New Mexico, for example, a 50-cent tax cap on premium cigars, because we're able to demonstrate that if you cap the tax, you're going to reap more in-state tax revenues because people will buy locally and pay those taxes as opposed to skirting around those and buying online. To where we also had some favorable pipe tobacco laws in Arizona, for example, getting Cavendish pipe tax reduced, and then keeping a number of other smoking bans like the recent one that came up in Oklahoma and keep those defeated as well. So it's really a three-pronged approach, and it's a continuous battle, as you can well imagine, because with tobacco, the attacks, those predators never sleep. And so we're constantly awake. We're constantly fighting those battles and then going on the offensive, kind of like I just explained with things like the tax caps and other places where we can implement smart policy and smart wins on a number of different levels in order for us to get incremental wins, to move the ball a little bit more and to help our negotiation stature.
And over the last, say, 2 to 3 years, have the tobacco industry as a whole, do you see that we've gained any ground, or are we holding steady, or are we losing ground?
In most cases, we have either maintained ground or gained a little bit. We've had a few setbacks, but the setbacks really come because, again, much more so of the reactions to vaping and the amount of youth that are vaping than the premium cigar business. And so one of the great things that we've had recently come out in the past couple of years is this PATH study that the the FDA and the NIH put out. So this has not $1 of tobacco money was spent on this. And so this is a great resource for us because what it does is it demonstrates that if you define premium cigar as 100% tobacco, just tobacco, water, a little bit of vegetable glue, 6 pounds for 1,000, right? It's got no tip, no filter. That when you define it that way, that the average age of somebody who smokes their first premium cigar is age 30. and the average usage is about 1.7, 1.4 days out of every 30. Now, there's obviously some differences on that scale there, but when you're looking at the averages, and also that the number of teenagers under the age of 18 that had ever smoked a premium cigar was so insignificant that it was basically statistically equal to zero. So when you're looking at what is driving sort of the anti-tobacco groups, it's youth access. And so when you define a premium cigar and you look at the usage, you see A, there is no youth access problem, and B, there's no addiction problem, because if you're using a product 1.7 days out of every 30, that's not indicative of any kind of addictive behavior.
Right.
So for us, we have a very good story to tell. And so the vast amount of what we've been working on, is particularly with Capitol Hill and educating policymakers and congressmen and senators, is the difference between premium cigars and what we call nicotine delivery systems. Because he said, look, if we were really trying to introduce nicotine into the human body at a rate at which it became addictive, the premium cigar is a horrible, horrible device for doing that, because it's not getting anybody addicted to the nicotine in the traditional ways that cigarettes and now these new electronic devices are. And so it's a good story to tell, because most congressmen, most senators, and most policymakers get it instantly. There are those factions out there that do exist that are anti-tobacco no matter what, that they would all, I think, just be happy and do a dance if the crop itself was eliminated from the face of the earth. But one of the things we like to say are things like, the tobacco plant is no more responsible for causing things like heart disease than corn is for causing drunk driving, right? There's different ways in which you can use a natural product and how it's consumed, how it's produced, and everything else. And that should be what drives the policy. So we're really looking for new ones. So some of the victories we've had is the previous FDA commissioner, Scott Gottlieb, actually opened up a comment on premium cigar and the premium cigar question specifically. And we had thousands of people, consumers, retailers, manufacturers, that poured in their comments about how they use the product, why they use the product, and why it's so different. You don't see forums out there describing taste nuances and years of when production happens on cigarettes. That just doesn't happen. You see that with fine wine. You see that with scotch. You see that with all kinds of different artisanal products. You don't see that with addictive products, though. So that was a good win for us. We're getting good wins with education with policymakers. We just recently had a win where, thanks to a lot of consumer involvement, as well as retailers, manufacturers, we poured in thousands of letters to congressmen and senators that killed a tax bill that would have dramatically raised taxes per stick for each cigar. So some of the setbacks have been like this Pallone bill, where they're really targeting tobacco as a whole. They're not distinguishing between vape. They're not distinguishing between cigarettes. It's just tobacco as a whole. And really, they also are putting up somewhat of a boogeyman argument about flavored tobacco as well. And so that's a dangerous slope because there's a lot of adult products that exist out there that they would classify potentially as flavored, even though the adult consumer doesn't necessarily consider them flavored.
Yeah,
and
I saw an interesting article just the other day about that. Look at all your flavored vodkas, tequilas, and
exactly,
and those are adult beverages, and so I don't really see the difference between a infused cigar versus infused alcohol.
There really is none, and there's some really interesting statistics even for the average age usage of an infused cigar smoker is 52.
Really?
For example. And yes, and their average rate of usage is no different than any other premium cigar. If you were to hold up, and I don't want to call out specific products here, but if you were to call up any infused product in a humidor, the ones that are generally, in all the humidors next to all the other products that are not infused, and you were to show them to kids, they wouldn't be able to pick out the one because they're not marketed that way. And that's really ultimately the primary driver for the Tobacco Control Act in 2009 that was passed, was to guard against marketing to kids. And that's the biggest problem with vape, is that they were so targeting kids with strawberry and grape and some of the fruity pebble flavored stuff that's out there. And what's interesting about your comment just now is and I've said it for years, they make fruity pebble vodka. They make cake batter vodka. And who is that targeting? Well, it's targeting younger palates. It's targeting kids at college that don't know how to handle alcohol. And nobody ever got sick and had, you can get sick obviously from smoking cigars, but not to the extent of having things like alcohol poisoning or getting so drunk you drive and kill people from smoking a cigar.
Right. A cigar is not altering your ability to drive.
Exactly. And you know, the really interesting thing that we're also seeing is this massive movement for the approval of marijuana and marijuana smoking, while at the same time they continue to fight against any kind of tobacco smoking. And I find that really curious because, just as you said, there's no mind altering that goes with tobacco.
Right.
And so it's the one major setback that it's not really over the past couple of years, but we're dealing with the fallout, is about 30 years ago. You know, the premium industry didn't really kind of take note when the anti-tobacco started, because it was like, well, it's just focused on cigarettes. And so unfortunately the narrative was given up so many years ago that tobacco equals cigarettes equals death, disease, and kids getting hooked early. So now anything that has to do with tobacco, that's what immediately comes to mind. And so that's somewhat of the education that we're embarking upon, particularly with policymakers, is to really say, look, you've got to have good nuanced policy, because if you lump everything together, you're going to kill jobs, you're going to kill an industry, and you're going to create a black market. So it's just going to become worse. So we are seeing some good progress. We're particularly seeing good progress at the administrative level, where we have a lot of folks who, even though President Trump is not in any way, shape, or form a tobacco supporter, he does not smoke, he does not drink, he's not a big fan of the industries. However, because of the administration that he's put in place of a policy of deregulation, we do have different folks in different administrations that can help put pressure at the right places. And that's really what we're focusing on over the next 10 months or so, while at the very least he's still in office and this administration is still in place. And so that's what we're really focused on, is pulling those appropriate levers where we can to get some relief for the industry.
Well, and I found it interesting that you brought up cannabis, and I'm curious, and I'm sure you don't know these statistics, but I wonder what age typically people begin smoking cannabis versus tobacco.
That's a great question. I don't know those offhand. And what's really interesting is I was having a conversation, and they were talking about all the benefits, and they were extolling all of it from cannabis use, et cetera. And I said, the problem is that it's still illegal federally. And I said, so all of the literature and the research that exists out there, predominantly the vast majority of it, is from those who have been wanting to get marijuana legalized for so long.
Right.
The federal government never had any impetus to go ahead and say, well, let's truly examine this and see what the health effects are, the same way that they did for decades with all of the money that tobacco paid in order for that to be studied, and for all the health effects and all the warnings and everything else. So when you truly start to dive into the effects of marijuana, I know that there was the initial research about the effects of smoking marijuana, that on the lungs, that they actually said it was worse on your lungs than smoking cigarettes. So, there's no filter. You're directly inhaling the smoke into your lungs. So that was just a preliminary research that started when they started to decriminalize and legalize weed in, Colorado and some of the other states. So I'll be really interested to see usage, and particularly, just as you pointed out, youth usage, and to see if they come down as heavily on the cannabis industry as they have on the tobacco industry.
Yeah, and all of the products that you've mentioned, I know you guys are in the fight for cigars specifically, but I am of the mindset of, if you are 18 or older, I don't care if you want to smoke marijuana. I don't care if you want to vape. I don't care if you want to smoke cigarettes. What I don't want to happen is someone infringing upon my personal right to enjoy a premium cigar.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that we're able to frame that narrative in a number of different ways that resonates, depending upon which side of the aisle that you're on. It's a pretty libertarian stance to take there, but it can appeal, because one of the things we like to point out is that if you are smoking 1.7 or even 2 days out of every month, if you have 2 glasses of wine a month, no doctor in their right mind is going to tell you to stop. Right. And it's kind of similar in that fashion. And so when we liken it to other, we call them luxury indulgences, right? You're not going to get the same type of reaction as to saying, look, and we're not trying to get people off of a drug. We're not trying to kick addictive habitual behaviors that people are wasting money on that they would rather not. These are things that people are investing in. The other part that we really take a look at is, we say, with this PATH study again, is you can look at the average cigar smoker. They're generally more affluent and more educated than the cigarette smoker. And that more affluent is going to spend money on a luxury item, and therefore those taxes And that's one of the those taxes get paid not only at the point of sale, but by the businesses that are running, et cetera. So for us, we have a good story to tell on multiple levels in terms of the small businesses, in terms of the adult consumer who are primarily more responsible and are primarily more active in their communities. And so with the difference there, when you juxtapose that with cannabis, particularly with whatever stereotype you have of the traditional cannabis user, it starts to differentiate us even more in terms of who are the premium tobacco users that are out there. We just did the Congressional Black Caucus does their legislative week at the beginning of September. And so we hosted a special event about minorities and entrepreneurship. And we had two sisters who are part of the Tres Lindas. They make the Tres Lindas cigar. And they came up and they talked about, being Black women and starting a business and everything. But what was interesting is in the Q&A afterwards, we had about 50 people. We held it right there in the Capitol. And I asked the question to everybody. I said, so what's everybody's stereotypical image of somebody smoking a cigar? And everyone's like, well, it's an old man. Well, of course. And if your stereotypical image of a cigar smoker is an old man, how is it perceived as such a negative to your health when it's an old man smoking a cigar? Whereas if you juxtapose that to, okay, who's smoking the cigarette versus who's smoking the joint? Well, it's the young people. It's the person who's got to run outside for 5 minutes in the freezing cold to get their nicotine fix, or it's the young stoner. So there's a very big difference. And when you point that out, people tend to stop and think, you're right. There is a difference between who's using and why. And that changes everything in terms of how you're supposed to write public policy.
Right. I get that. Now, I want to ask you about the actual PCA meeting or get-together convention that happens in July. I believe this year it's like around July 14th. Is that about right?
Yeah, in 2020, it'll be July 11th through the 14th.
Okay. So at one time, you guys were looking at including a day for consumers, and that's been taken off the books for now, as I understand it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we were looking. So this was going on for years before I ever came to the association. And it was something that the manufacturers brought up, and when we talked about it, and when I first came on, it was pretty much my first or second day on the job was to really dive into this and figure out how we can make this a reality. I likened it to things like car shows, for example, or even the consumer electronic shows. Even though I know consumers don't go to that, but it's a way for consumers to really connect with the industry, and there's a reason why other industries do these, and so. We met with some challenges and we made some mistakes in terms of how it all kind of came together and worked out. And we wanted to be able to have a dialogue about it and say, look, if we're going to do this in 2020, let's do this. And we kind of, talked about all the reasons why, not only excitement for the industry, but a way to engage consumers and connect them with the challenges. It's pretty hard as a consumer of an industry, particularly one like this, that's small and niche, to really connect on a truly intimate level about the challenges facing those that are producing the product and then also selling the product as well. So it really for us was a way to truly kind of bring in and engage the consumers on a different level as far as that, because a cigar consumer is a passionate consumer. We're on this right now talking about it, and there are forums that exist out there, and there's so many different ways in which people engage with reviewing cigars. They love to talk about cigars, and it's a great passion that exists out there. And we thought, let's tap into that. The retailers, because it wasn't as complete of a model that we put out, because we really wanted to say, here's an idea, let's talk about doing this next year. It was kind of a lot of backlash. I think people expected something. We didn't frame it right. We didn't frame it right for them to have the appropriate expectation, and that was completely our fault. And so we said, let's take this off and let's get a little bit more of a democratic approach to how we can plan this out and then present it in a better format. So it's off the table for 2020. It's not off the table for 2021, but we're moving forward with an approach to where we have quite a few manufacturers and retailers that are going to be coming on to a special committee to help us figure this out, to say, hey, here's how we have. And we've got a good framework in place now after having hours and hours of conversations with this at the trade show to figure out ways forward in which we can potentially make something happen to where we can start involving consumers in some of the things that we're doing.
I see. So for this coming year, it's going to be retailers and manufacturers, and then, of course, cigar media, basically just like it was last year.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And so you're not saying it's off the table for 21, but right now we're not real sure what it looks like.
Yeah, we internally have a good working model in place, but that really is all that it is right now. And so, really, for us, if we were to say anything about it, we'd be making the exact same mistake that we made
Right.
last time. And so, we really just want to say, we've pumped the brakes, and right now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do some good work and do our due diligence on this. Because the next time that this goes out, number one, we've got to have wider support of the actual product itself, but we have to define that product, I think, more and flush it out completely, or as completely as we possibly can at the time, with only minor details. Because I think that way, the problem is that so much conjecture happened, and everybody perceives whatever it is through their own perspective, right? And so, as they were looking at it, so many of these issues came up where we had thought about them, but the problem was that we did not deliver it in a way that was holistic. And so that was definitely our fault in terms of how we did that. And so we want to correct that mistake this time. And that if the decision is made, yes, we would like to go ahead and move forward in this format, then that needs to be explained completely so that everybody has a chance to fully digest it and understand well in advance of the show, well in advance, So, we're probably hopeful that we can get something out to the general public by the end of Q1 next year. That would be really completely, here's what, CigarCon looks like. Here's what consumers are going to get. Here's how it is going to be in terms of the overall schedule of the show, et cetera, et cetera.
I got you. Well, I part of the things that we do on this show is we do interviews with cigar shop owners, cigar lounge owners, and also manufacturers. And so I heard, the pros and cons from both sides. And, personally, I think that it could be a good thing. And if it's done right, I think it is a benefit to all parties involved.
Yeah, I 100% agree. When they first told me about this and how they've been talking about this for a while, and again, this was manufacturers from the advisory board that said, we really think that we could do this and kind of capitalize in a way, because you walk in and you see these booths, and some of these booths, they're bigger than some of the stores that are out there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I mean, my gosh, the Perdomo and the Ashton booth, even, the Padron and Drew Estate's massive booth, and these Fuentes booth. I mean, they're beautiful floors and these cabinets that they have in there, and the displays that they build out and everything else. And they're great. They're fantastic. And I was talking to Skip Martin at Romacraft about this, and he's like, I came as a consumer for the first time, and it's what really endeared him and connected him to the industry in a way that he knew he wanted to be in it for the long term. And that's really what we're looking at doing. And, it was really interesting. I was talking to Art at Perdomo about this, and he said the great benefit of this show is that it's the only place where everyone in the premium cigar industry comes together. So you've got all of the big guys coming here. You've got the Rocky Patels and the Carlito Fuentes and the Leo Gomez's and the George Padrones. You got all these guys, and then and the Pete Johnsons, and then on down the line. Plus, what's so great about the cigar smoking community is that it's a popular refrain that you hear from retailers, right? They're like, "Oh my God, what's new? What's new? I've always got to stay up on what's new." But I think that's what's so great about somewhat of this next wave of premium cigar in the industry is it's a lot like what craft beer went through, and it's kind of still going through in some ways. But the connection to, where are the farms and where are the factories and what's the blend and what's the year, because it really is about that experience when you smoke it, the flavors, the nuance to what you're getting out of that cigar, and having the consumers be able to come and find and connect with some of these smaller guys that are coming on that are doing great things with their cigars, I think would just add a lot of excitement for that consumer base and provide a celebration and a party about the industry that everybody can get behind. But again, we've got to define that in a better way so that retailers and manufacturers, manufacturers had like this assumption that, oh my God, I'm gonna have to give away thousands of cigars, I'm gonna have to eat that cost. And that was never ever the case. Retailers, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go try to do orders while this show is going on, and consumers are gonna see all this stuff about what I paid and everything. That was never the case. That was never the plan. And we just did not do a good job of being able to put out those specifics to really address the concerns that we had been addressing through these different iterations for so long. And so, lesson learned, we're going to slow down. We're going to do it right if we do it.
I see. So, talking about the actual event and your members that come, as far as the cigar industry landscape, do you see an increase in membership, or are you losing membership? Where are you at as far as the PCA and the retailers and the manufacturers? I mean, are we on an upswing or a downswing?
We are on a very slight upswing, very slight, but there's some nuance in all of those numbers because you have acquisitions and consolidations and things like that go on that can tend to skew numbers. And so, for example, Smoker Friendly just had this big acquisition. So for us, the actual number of members goes down, but the number of stores stays the same.
Oh, okay.
So we have a principal owner in however many stores. So you can have an owner that owns 5, 7, 10, or like Boveda Cigars here, by me, which has like 13, I think, in the area. Clafter's out in Pennsylvania, Ohio, they've got 12. But you can also have somebody like Smoking that's got 2, and so it's really sort of that very, very different means. And so for us, we're looking at how many stores. And what does that mean as far as purchasing? Because that's really what the manufacturers care about. So it's a slight uptick in terms of membership, but a slight uptick in terms of actual badges. And so I know there's always controversy about this, and I'm as transparent as the next guy, And so for us, it does me no good to report, false numbers because, it's pretty easy to see and to do. But for us, simply, if you register and you put your name in and you show up and you get a badge, we count that. So however many badges we give out, that's what we count as attendance. Because we figure if somebody's showing up to pick up their badge, they're going to visit the show floor.
Right.
There's no reason to show up in Vegas. So we count the number of badges picked up at registration. And so while that number was up, total stores was also there. But when you look at the accounts, they were down a few, I think maybe 9. But when you look at total stores that they represented, it was slight. It was about the same as the previous year.
Okay.
But overall attendance was actually up from previous year. It was the third highest over the past 8 years.
Oh wow.
I think that going back to the Sands Venetian and some of the other things that we're trying to do to make the event in and of itself more beneficial, I think is helping. Last year we ran into a challenge. In order to get back into the Sands Venetian, they had to sign a contract where they were there over that 4th of July weekend. And so because of the smoking and some of the other things that we tend to kind of have to play, a little ball with the Sands in order to do that. But, once I got in there, we reached back out and said, hey, is there any way we can renegotiate this and just go the following week to where we always have been? They finally said, yeah, let's go and do it because they saw the amount of rooms we were booking and they were glad to have us there. And very happy with the people that came. They were very respectful. We had no issues with security, no smoking issues. And so it was really good. But we also had, it was so front loaded. We had 1,000 more people show up for the opening night party than we had. And so we looked at the history in the past 5 years. The attendance was pretty much the same every night for that opening night party that we host. We had 1,000 more people show up for the opening night party this year because people front loaded their time at the show. Okay. So they were there on the opening days to get back for the 4th of July holiday. So I think that we'll see things kind of temper out and even out a little bit next year, kind of going back to that. And I think that people will be a little bit surprised. I know there's a lot of people that, the sky is falling and, because of this and that. And absolutely, there were a lot less people there towards the end. There's no question. The other thing, too, that brought up in terms of that is that when we just talked about the booths, these guys build these massive booths and they're beautiful and everything. But the fact of the matter is that even if for example, in associations, there's a lot of trade shows. And I went to a trade show recently and I was there visiting different destinations because I wanted to talk to multiple destinations to see. And all I asked was, can we smoke inside your trade show facility? And, I get all the no's, right? Because everything's LEED certified these days. And so, but I was there. And so it was a meeting of a bunch of association executives. And so it was probably 3 to 4 times the amount of attendees than would come to our show. And yet their exhibit hall space was about half the size of ours.
Oh, wow.
And it still wasn't like, you were bumping into people everywhere you go. So the amount of square footage that we take up because of the size of the booths for the actual amount of people, we could literally, do 5 times the amount of attendees, and that trade show floor is still not going to feel, like it's jam packed full.
You're not going to be elbow to elbow, right?
No, you're not. So So I kept to keep reminding people is like, hey, this is a lot of space. Be grateful because you do have a lot of space to maneuver. There's a lot of corners that you can go sit down and have some quiet time to write down your orders, process things, and do what you need to do. And so we take advantage of that too by building out special places where people can sit down and smoke and eat, have a drink, coffee, things like that too.
I got you. So I got one last question before we let you go. I know we don't want to take up too much of your time, but here's the question of the day. Are you ready?
Go for it. I'm ready.
What's the last cigar you smoked?
The last cigar that I smoked was this afternoon. It was a Winwood Hills Unhinged from CLE.
Okay,
it was his.
Very nice.
Yeah, I smoked that one this afternoon. It's a very good cigar.
Well, very good to know. I haven't had that one, so I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah, that new release from Christian, the Winwood Hills line, and I've smoked all of them. They're all very, very good.
Oh,
I enjoy
good.
all of them.
Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to smoking one. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer, but if you don't mind, if you'll tell everybody where they can find you guys on the web, and if you're on social media, where you'd like them to look so that they can support and find out what you guys are going to do for 2021.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll say two places, but primarily our new website is premiumcigars.org, and we are just now in the process of actually getting that launched, and so that should be going live here in the next couple of days. And on there, you'll see things like under advocacy, take action, and that will take you to a place called cigaraction.org. But that's where all of the consumers can put their email address in and be notified when we're running any campaigns for anything that we need you all to write letters. And it's great because when that happens, you basically just put your address in. We've got a pre-populated letter. You just put your name in, and it sends it to your representatives and your senators. So that's a great place to be. And then also, you can sign up for our mailing list there as well on premiumcigars.org. And then it will have sections in terms of who you can, if you're a industry partner or an associate or a retailer. But you can also find us on social. It's PCA 1933. That's our founding year. So Instagram and Facebook. Those are the two best places. We'll generally put the information out. So as we release more information about CigarCon, as it starts to kind of take a little bit more shape in how we're going to go about that, those would be the best places to find it. Would be either on our social or on our website.
Okay, great. And we appreciate all the form letters you have for us to send in to our congresspeople and senators. We would love to bombard Conley and Cruz in Texas because we're not getting any response from these guys. Well, I take that back. Conley did email me back once, but he was not very open to what I sent him. So we love bombarding those guys.
Yeah, and that's a great point to end on. Is I do want to emphasize that we work all day, every day. I mean, weekends, everything in terms of building relationships. My federal affairs director right now is actually at a fundraiser for a congressman, and probably will be there for the next 3-4 hours. And then he's going to be on a train, and he's going to be up in New York. Actually, if you believe it or not, he's going to be taking Chuck Schumer around to different cigar rooms and things like that, and working with some different offices up in New York. Then right back, and we're working with the administration all day on Wednesday. And then an event at our townhouse on Thursday with Michael Herklotz from Nat Sherman. It's part of our education series. We're going to probably have 80 to 90 people from Capitol Hill coming through our townhouse for this event to educate them on this. But I will say this is that, it's very easy for those of us that are consumers who know about this. And by God, we want to be keyboard warriors. And we want to go out there and absolutely we want to send those letters, but even on things like social. But just as we were talking about earlier, it's very easy for us, amongst our own selves to take these stances. And we do carry those messages forward. But within politics, there's really, I don't know of any politician that's going to go ahead and put their political career on the line for tobacco. And so we really, really work the relationships, the give and the take and everything, and making sure that, maybe something's come out of subcommittee and it sounds bad, the sky's falling, but we're aware of all of this stuff before it ever breaks and before it ever becomes public. And we're always working behind the scenes because it's very hard for somebody, especially those that get money from health groups or that are on the Democrat side of the aisle. But we need them if we're ever going to make any progress. And so Absolutely. We're constantly leveraging those relationships. So, please go to cigaraction.org, but also at the same time, if there's ever any question, just engage with myself or Joshua Herbersky, who's our federal affairs director, or Rachel Hall, who's our state affairs director. Just ask us those questions. So in that way you can potentially, feel comforted at least by the fact that, yes, we are on this issue. We are working on it and doing what we can to either mitigate as much as we possibly can or to actually take action to defeat something outright. And trying to, we have so little political capital when it comes to tobacco. We want to spend it only in those instances where we know we have to or we know we can win. But just be rest assured that we are working night and day on all of these issues, and that even though it might seem like, holy shit, no one's at the forefront watching anything, right. we are. We're watching all the time, and we're attacking all the time. We're defending all the time, as much as we can.
Well, we appreciate that. We just had Glenn Loop on last week, and so we wanted to get you guys on as well. And because, this is affecting all of the cigar community. So we just want to keep everybody educated on what's actually going on.
Perfect. Yeah, we work hand in hand with CRA all the time. And it's great for us to be able to collaborate with them as we go in. We've got a good, strong message for retailers. They've got a great, strong message with the consumers and manufacturers. And so it's very, very helpful for us to have them as good partners with our work that we're doing and with the advocacy. So.
Well, that's great. Well, hey, Scott, we appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and give us an update on what you guys do and what's going on. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, just feel free to reach out. We're always here.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you. And enjoy your cigar tonight.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that interview with Scott. We appreciate him coming down and telling us all about the PCA and what work they're doing. We appreciate that. So anyway, it's time to get to this week's Cigar Talk giveaway. And if you are not registered, you need to go by our website and do that. This is how easy it is to have a shot at winning our weekly giveaway. You go by the website, you click on register, you give us your name and your email address. That's it. And if you don't do that, you won't have a chance to win. So make sure you do that. And this week we're giving away a Boveda Butler. That is a looks like a key fob. Mm-hmm. And it fits inside your humidor. And it syncs up with your phone and keeps you up to date with what your humidity and your temperature in your humidor is. So it's an invaluable piece of equipment.
New technology, that AI.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I love it. I would not have a humidor without it because I don't have to worry, be checking that little digital meter in my humidor all the time. I walk in, pull up my phone, bam, it tells me what it is.
Yes, sir.
And you can set it up to where if it gets below a certain point or over a certain point, it will actually send you an alert. So that's definitely valuable to have good cigars. Anyway, this week's winner is Daryl Jenkins.
Okay.
Daryl Jenkins, congratulations. You got yourself a Boveda Butler. Congratulations again. Thanks for registering. Sir. And we'll get that sent out this week. And anyway, we want to talk about the McAuliffe special coming up. I'm going down there Monday, and I'm actually going to interview Al McAuliffe. We're going to have Dan on the show. We're going to have Amanda on the show.
Okay.
See if we can get Sam or Steve also to join us and just have a big McAuliffe extravaganza.
Yeah.
But anyway, they've got some really interesting news that they are going to put out on this show. And so I think it's going to be a game changer. So I can't talk about it right now, but I've had a few hints of what they're going to tell me.
Yes, sir.
And it is a game changer. So make sure you tune into that episode next week. That's going to be a bonus show that'll come out Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
And so anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions or statements or comments about the show, you can always email us or hit us up on Instagram. And so anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Until next time,
keep smoking.